So if I go back, I've been in Canada 19 years. I came with my husband, and at the time, my oldest son was just under a year old. Of course, we do speak English as a first language, so we had that bit of an extra benefit. But I think when I look at immigrants, there's people like yourself and I, we want to embrace the Canadian culture, right? We want to integrate into society. We work very hard making friends to create those networks. But if something goes wrong, or if you have a sick child, it's really just your village, right? It was my husband and I mostly. And then I think for yourself, you could have very easily joined, your ethnic group and lived in that parallel society that we know is all over, where not everybody has integrated into Canadian society, right? So I think there are always those two different routes. So I really love the fact that you've also integrated, you're Canadian, this is our path forward. But for myself, it was difficult not having a safety net. It's just every decision was my husband and I. Anything that happened with the kids' work, there wasn't a safety net. There wasn't anything to fall back on. We had to make it work. I think they talk about in war, you burn the boats, so that you can move forward. Well, we burned the boats, right? There was no way back. We had to just make that way forward together. Are you struggling with where you are? Are you lacking hope? Do you need some inspiration to move forward? Then today's episode is for you. Welcome back to Hear Me Out with Belinda. Today in studio, I'm going to introduce you to my friend and fellow Rotarian, Yulia. Welcome, Yulia.
Thank you for having me.
I am very excited about our conversation today. You have such a beautiful story of inspiration. But I think let's start with Rotary and how we met. We'll start at the end and then go backwards.
Well, today I am fully involved in the community. I'm attending all meetings, majority of them. I love be around inspired people who making changes around them. What I like the most about Rotary Club is environment. Everyone welcome, no judgment. Everyone brings something to the table to make changes around them. No money motivation, and fellow Rotarians support one another. I love that.
Yeah. It's definitely, I think we've both found that community, that network that we were both looking for. I know you're an immigrant yourself. And as immigrants, sometimes it can be a bit of a lonely road. So having those community connections does play a vital role, I think, within us, right? And you're right, Rotary is that connection for me, and I think for you now as well. And we've had a few moments together of a lot of fun, whether it was putting up the flags on Veterans Way for the Rolling Barrage, just having some coffee dates or some wine dates and just getting to know each other a bit better. It's all up, and Robbie Burns, right? We did a lot of the volunteer work together for Robbie Burns. So it's wonderful to get there.
Yeah, absolutely.
Let's go back to the beginning, though. So, as we just mentioned, you're an immigrant yourself. So, where are you originally from, and how long have you been in Canada?
I'm Russian. I'm from far east of Russia. Many people question my location of birth. Very hard to explain, but if you will look at the map, and if you can see Japan, or from Hokkaido Island north, there would be little island look like fish. And that's where I'm from, far east of Russia, Sakhalin Island.
Okay. And did you speak Japanese growing up as well?
I learned it on the way because of location, we're saying. I was have opportunity to travel to Japan and learn the language, cooking. I have experience with Japanese culture.
That's wonderful. And then how long ago did you move to Canada?
Last week was 20 years. June 6th was 20 years.
Well, congratulations on your anniversary.
And I'm legal in God.
So who did you move with?
So I did have my little girl, older daughter. She is 28, turning 29. She was 7, turning 8. Um, I did immigrate with my husband, and that's how I ended up being in Canada with her.
And did you come to Alberta first?
Yeah, it's only one in first place was Alberta, Calgary. By the time my daughter arrived with me, she did spoke good English. She was in international school in Russia, and but she did have British accent because her teachers were British.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And yourself, did you speak English?
No, not very much. So I actually attended 8 months program for engineers at SAIT. Um, Successfully achieve it, and then I jump into sales to improve my English.
Right.
Sales jobs.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So they're very customer facing to talk to
Yes.
people, and that's wonderful. And then, unfortunately, the relationship with your husband didn't work out. And so then, by that time, did you have a second child with him?
No, at that time. It was challenging because I was 2 years turning 3 to be in Canada. Just got around driving, English, schools with daughter in Canada. So it's a completely different experience and knowledge. And I started learning to live on my own, pay bills, mortgages, all this good stuff. Responsibilities were really high, expectations as well. When you're immigrant, many people don't understand how uneasy it is to build net of people because you isolated in terms of family and friends. So you rely on net that you built around you, including schools, communities, and so on. Um, Having challenge to speak bring challenge to that department. And for me, where I have responsibility for my kid and um, uh, get stable job and be welcome to stay at that job so I can get paid, it was quite pressure, I would say. Yeah.
So if I go back, I've been in Canada 19 years. I came with my husband, and at the time, my oldest son was just under a year old. Of course, we do speak English as a first language, so we had that bit of an extra benefit. But I think when I look at immigrants, there's people like yourself and I, we want to embrace the Canadian culture, right? We want to integrate into society. We work very hard making friends to create those networks. But if something goes wrong, or if you have a sick child, it's really just your village, right? It was my husband and I mostly. And then I think for yourself, you could have very easily joined, your ethnic group and lived in that parallel society that we know is all over, where not everybody has integrated into Canadian society, right? So I think there are always those two different roots. So I really love the fact that you've also integrated, you're Canadian, this is our path forward. But for myself, it was difficult not having a safety net. It's just every decision was my husband and I. Anything that happened with the kids' work, there wasn't a safety net. There wasn't anything to fall back on. We had to make it work. I think they talk about in war, you burn the boats, so that you can move forward. Well, we burned the boats, right? There was no way back. We had to just make that way forward together.
In my defense, I do have 2 university degrees from Russia. I did have a goal in mind to overcome language barrier, which I did in very short period. I'm goal oriented. I'm achiever. So I did attended Calgary, University of Calgary, to submit my paperwork and get credit. Unfortunately, for 7 years of Russian university, I ended up with 3 years credit. That was very sad.
Yeah.
And so I realized my reality check was I am too old to go back to school and start from the beginning, nor I have finance because I didn't have highly paid job, and I have a kid to take care of. So I, make my decision of not going and to continue with another degree and just work job that was available at the time, and that was sales. And unfortunately, that's the reality for a lot of immigrants right now as well.
And what were your 7 years of university in?
For the first one was phys ed teacher. I was specialized in sprint, 200, 400-meter run, and also I was in cross country skiing.
Okay.
And then I attended the psychology, and that is for school program mostly. And so, but I have knowledge of that as well, so it helps.
Yeah, that's actually amazing. I did not know that about you with the phys ed. We're going to have to talk a bit more because with my son running track, we are desperate for a track club here in local Okotoks that could serve the foothills because we drive in the winter months. We have to drive down to the M&P building in Calgary, which is a long drive in the snow. So we'll have to talk more about that off air and see what we can do with that part. Okay, and so then tell me a little bit more about your story then.
So because of sales and how much can you make, you become very sourceful. I did try myself at the extras in the movies. And story was funny. I was working in Beltline at Shoppers Drug Mart selling cosmetics. I call it selling lipsticks. And this lady comes in. She's like, "Would you like to be in the movies?" I'm like, "Who's asking?" She's like, "Me." I'm like, "Who are you?" And decision was, I think, the big part of why I doing good job in blending in Canada and getting job done is my positive mind, open-minded philosophy that I always welcome new ideas with open arms, and I'm positive and I have good sense of humor. I'm friendly, and I think that helps a lot.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And so we ended up signing contract, and I started doing extras once in a while. And then I actually introduced my older daughter into it. She's working with them as well.
Oh, wow. Perfect. And then keep going.
Not at this moment. I'm busy with Rotary.
Perfect. Okay. And so then when did you leave Shoppers?
I was working at Shoppers downtown until 2021. After COVID, I met a fellow at the store, and we started dating. And so that brought a new experience in my life, not very positive, where I step away from working. I rely fully on someone who I barely knew. And looking back, I would say I put too much trust in that person and belief in what he was saying. And that's where my life turned upside down for me.
Right. And are you okay sharing a little bit about that and how that looked for you?
Yeah. I was under impression when I met that person. This person is successful, professional, have background with jobs, international jobs, no languages. That swooped me away from at the beginning and built that impression. My When I'm looking back, I realized I didn't have any proof of what he was saying. I never met his family, nor I met his friends. I didn't have any experience to go to his place. It will always were mine after we started dating. So that was red flags I didn't see. And I didn't have any proof of his income nor his jobs. I never saw anything. It was just words. And that's again, red flag I didn't see.
Right.
And so, relationships started really quick and intense with controlling. There was a lot of you cannot go there, you cannot go here, you're doing something wrong. And slowly you get into a situation where you completely cut off from friends because he doesn't like them, or he doesn't like clothes you wear because of ABC. There's lots of reasons for it, according to him. And so slowly I burn bridges with my friends and my community, my support net. And I start facing this alone, where my reality lock on what he's saying and what my life was around that, what he was
Yeah.
saying. Yeah.
And I think anybody listening to this will, like, if they're in the same situation, will know the patterns, right? You can become infatuated by someone, right? And put all your trust in them. And exactly that, depending on whether the psychological profile of that person, what their intention is, good or bad, you can lose a connection to your friends. And like you said, I think maybe being that immigrant as well, not having family support, people that weren't going to give up on you, also left you a little bit vulnerable, because friends can only do so much as well, right? And then they have to carry on with their own
It's an easy
lives.
target, person who doesn't have connection with family. And it's an immigrant who doesn't have strong net with support. It's an easy target. I
Yeah.
could definitely see. But also my past history with my family, my own family, was a platform to attract this kind of situation. In the way now learning and looking back, I know that I was perfect target. My family was not healthy in the way that father was an alcoholic. We were facing abuse, and sometimes there's part of being insecure with low self-esteem. You question your reality often and asking yourself, "Are you doing things right?" And when somebody walking into your fragile world and start questioning that reality that you just built and you establishing yourself still, it's a very fragile territory. And so I think that was recipe for disaster
Yeah.
with everything that I'm looking back now, I knew.
You knew, yeah.
Yeah.
And so then slowly you lost your network and your friends, and you relied heavily on your partner at the time. And then, so what happened next?
I was living with my second younger child. I did have full custody over, and it was seems to me it was okay because he was like best friend for her, and he was helper. He came as a like really strong figure that knows it all according to him. And so slowly I started notice that we were told what we cannot do, what we can wear, both of us. And our entertainment part started like gradually shrinking. And slowly, her and I, we realized we're not happy anymore. It's always something. There was always something. You're walking on the eggshells constantly, and you're watching what you're saying, how you saying, what you wear, what you cooking, even like everything was looked over, criticized, and controlled. It was a really highly controlled environment, and got to the point where I've been told that we need to move out from apartment that was mine, that my belongings has to be stored somewhere, and we're moving out. I never saw place. There was stories about it. When I would bring it into conversations, it would be a swoop away and like, "Are you after my money? Do you want something from me?" And it was a lots of gaslighting, a lots of questioning me. But when I turn the table, it would be far back at me, and I would be facing some kind of punishment, way of
Yeah.
punishment. So I slowly lost control over my income because I didn't have any at the time. The only support I got financially is child support and then government money for her because she did have autism. And so um, it came to a very, very hard point where I have to make decision and let her be with her father versus be with me because I knew it was very harmful. We were forced to move out to complete strangers. That was his friends, according to him again. And my belongings ended up in the storage, and I ended up with nothing, like no net, no like nothing to rely on, and my whole world were pretty much collapsed and was connected only to him at the time.
Yeah.
While we were with the friends, I ended up in the hospital with amnesia. I do believe there was something was done purposely to get to that point. I'm speaking on my personal experience. Um, there was medical note that I cannot drive, I cannot be on a cell phone, so there's more control. And um, it was anything I have at the time was taken away from me. Was that medical note at the end?
It sounds like at that point, though, you have lost all control. You've lost all your self-confidence as well, right? You've lost your finance. You've just lost your daughter. She's now living with her father and everything. So it's like, what do you do next, right? It's like all hope was almost lost at that point.
Well, I've been told that there's something is wrong with me. There was forced to go through a psychiatric assessment, and only to confirm that I'm mentally not like I'm healthy. There's nothing wrong with me other than I have anxieties, of course.
Yeah.
But at the time, you start believing in that reality that you live in and being told that there's something wrong with you, and you then have anyone to reassure you that it's not exactly that. So um, I was not feeling good and not feeling at all like physically able to do anything at that time. And I went through medical appointments to confirm that there is nothing physically wrong with me as well. So I was found completely healthy mentally and physically. So then I start questioning. That's the moment where I start questioning: is there something else, something wrong not with me? Because there was too many things that happened where I, question. I'm like, where's your place? Why are we here? Why? And person continue tells the story that he has places, he has money. Only I don't see them. They're invisible, apparently. And so when I question things, it would be gaslighting and fire back to me. There's something wrong with me, of course, right? So I start seeing pattern and I start realizing that there's something is wrong, not with me, with the picture and with that person. Yeah.
So at this point, you're living with his friends, still not even
Yes.
in his own place yet. So you've given up your place.
No, I never saw his place because he has none of his.
Okay.
It was my car, it was my place at the time, my belongings, and only one friend that he showed to me, and we start living. There was that people, and later on, I learned they barely know him. They've met him on the walk, and they are start questioning as well because he told to them that he has money, he has job. He told the same story, and then uh, we ended up both have conversation. He asked me, Yulia, did you ever seen his place? I said never, and that's where we both look at each other and we realize, oh, you know, and so yeah, so I was not the only one who uh, ended up believing that person.
Hmm.
He's so convincing. He tells the stories, and I think I built his credibility by being with my daughter. I have a history. I have a job. Um, I have something, and I think he uses me as that cover up that make story believable.
Yeah.
And that's what I got from that person who was staying with afterwards, actually. Yeah. So moving forward, after going to hospitals and going through assessments, I realized there's nothing wrong with me. I was confirmed. And I was forced to go to a program that Rockview Hospital have for anxiety, depression, people who are facing it. There's a group program, daytime. So I attended for 1 month. And while I was on that program, I realized that there's completely nothing wrong with me. That's where my eyes wide open. I started seeing different opinions of who I was, and that helped me to build my confidence to know that there's something wrong with this picture because you live in it and you start believing it, and you don't see anything else at the time. So when I start comparing and talking to professionals, I start questioning him. I start questioning him as what was his intention, why he was doing it to me. And I couldn't find answer, but I knew he was not, he didn't do it for a good reason.
Mhm.
And so I realized that it's time to do something about it.
Wow. And then what did you do? How did you get out?
Well, my waking up moment was when on the last day of the program, a psychiatrist called me into office and he said that he has concern over my life. He thinks that he's trying, the person that I'm with, trying to do something to me because when he spoke to him, his chance, he did have shared plans of us moving to French side of Canada. And so, and that was his like he was countdown, we're going soon, we're going soon. And the psychiatrist was convinced that my life is in danger.
Wow. So the
Yes,
psychiatrist thought that he was going to
yes,
actually harm you physically.
yes.
Yeah.
And so I ended up uh, waking up. That was wake up call for me because he said you need to leave, you need to go somewhere. It's not safe. I cannot talk much about what happened, but it was highly abusive relationship as well.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, it came to a point where I sit down and spoke to him, and I questioned everything, and we started fighting, and I've been told that I could be possibly be killed. That's
Wow. He
was
threatened you.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. And then how did you get out of that? How did you manage to leave?
Um, I um, I didn't have my cell phone with me. He has only one phone. My phone became his phone because his phone broke for some reason. Um, and yeah, I didn't have my debit card, so I would go on the bus to hospital and go back on the bus where he has my car, my debit card. So I have nothing. I was, you know, if I will tell someone, people would look at me, but nobody would speak up, of course.
Hmm.
So I didn't have my cell phone, and I ended up going through a thrift shop and met this girl. She's Ukrainian, and I knew she was challenged with language and whatnot. I step in, try to help her, and we start talking. So we exchanged phone number. And so I put it in the cell phone when I didn't have that chance. And when we were talking and have that fight, and I've been told that, if you're in a hotel, you don't think you will be not killed. I ran in the washroom and called her and spoke my language with her, where he realized this is the end. And so he started loading things in my car and took off. But then he came back, tried, kicked me out from the hotel room. And I closed door and I said, I'm not leaving. I spoke to the front and I was making sure this night I need to stay. And I hold the phone like to the lifeline. And so I quickly changed passwords, everything, and I started my escape plan. I didn't have plan until then. It was just like a moment I realized it's just, I have to escape. I need to go somewhere safe.
It was sort of now or never in that moment.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so what was the escape plan?
I didn't know what I was doing, to be honest with you. I spoke to my new friend that I just made, and asked her if I can borrow her car, and because I didn't have mine, and I went to police. I stayed one day with her first. I was confused, to be honest with
Mhm.
you. Whole situation was like, it's not true. It's not happening. It's like he's just going to call me and will say it's, all will be good. There was some hope for this, of course, as well. But then longer, sat with her talking about what happened, how I felt. I realized I am in very bad situation, and she convinced me that I have to go and get protection, and that she thinks that I'm not safe, and I did feel not safe as well. It was when you're in this kind of relationship, it's really hard to see outside of it. You think it's normal, you normalize it. But then when you're stepping out, you realizing, oh my God, how I ended up here. You don't know until it's too late.
Mhm.
Basically, that's what my experience was. And after talking to other people, I realized they have exactly the same experience.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When you're in the middle of it, it seems normal because
No,
they've
it's you
normalized it.
normalize it. Your brain tells you it's okay. You can get over
Yeah.
it.
And then it's only sort of when you start to look back, that's when you realize. And so then from the police, you went to the police station, and then from there?
So I was managed to get my car. I filed reports. I spoke of what happened. I got my car back. I filed at least um, the complaint. And then I was like, where am I going? And so I did call to services, and they suggested to go to a shelter because I have nothing, no
Mm-hmm.
money. I have only car and maybe money to get to the spot, and that's it. I have nothing else at the time. And so I didn't have much clothes. I didn't have, I have nothing, no jobs, no nothing, no place to go. And so I was suggested to go to shelter, and one that was available was at High River, Rowan House.
Rowan House. They
Yeah,
ended up in Rowan House.
yeah.
And then from there, that's the start of the rebuild of your life. Yeah.
Um, on the first day when I came, I think that's where the reality shock hit me.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't sleep. I was making stuff worry about me because I was in
Yeah.
shock. Um, And I think the biggest part of the moment like that is not blame yourself on what happened. That's what I was doing. I was like, how did I do it? I did it all myself, and blame and self blame. And
Mm-hmm.
it was really destructive at first. And I think it was a really difficult moment in my life, the worst moment I ever experienced in my life, to be at that moment and your age was losing custody of your child, losing pretty much yourself at the end, and sitting in a shelter. I'm like, how I ended up here. That
Yeah.
was the most difficult moment.
This sort of strong, intelligent woman, right, that's traveled the world, speaks different languages, is sitting alone in a shelter, right? I think
Yeah,
that's that moment, that wake up. Yeah.
yeah.
But being you, that wasn't the end of the story.
No, I search up online, Google his name, and there was a lots of articles was available online. Criminal history. There's something was in French, and I was like, his name there, his picture there, but it's in French. So I use Google Translate, and I translate article, and I learn about other victims that he has, and um, so I start trying to reach that one of the person who uh, published that article, and so she did reach me back when I
Mm-hmm.
tried, and we spoke. Um, but before everything, I reconnected with everyone as well during that time. I actually reached people who I relieved before I ended up leaving. Um, he was the one who actually connected me to the journalist who wrote the article. And so, because while we were gone, he was worried about me. He said, "Yulia, I thought he did something to you." So there's a lot of that, and he saw how much control was there while we were there living, and then
Mm-hmm.
my hospitalization and what come out of it after, and lies that he heard. And so he was worried that he done something to me. So it wasn't just me
Yeah.
or psychiatrists. Anyone who have chance to communicate with that at the time, they're all concerned about me, my well-being. So
Yeah.
I felt good about it because I was like, yes, so it's not my fantasy or anything. It
Mm-hmm.
was there all along. Yeah.
Yeah. And now looking at today you are a new person. You have visitation with your daughter that you
No,
lost.
I'm full custody.
You have.
I got back. So what happened is staying in shelter. This is such a beautiful program, by the way. They provide you with food, shelter. They provide you with therapy. They help you with getting protections, and they help you to step out into life with something. So they guide you, support you with information. Um, that was amazing support. I don't know if where I would be if I wouldn't be supported by them. And the funny part is, after all, I'm right now, like jumping back from that story to now, I'm fully involved by volunteer in Rowan House, and I'm volunteering now with Rotary Club. I'm Rotarian, who actually sponsor
The
Rowan House. It's amazing journey to go back and bring back, like return back to community.
Yeah, that full circle moment, right?
Yes.
Of being helped and then being the one to help now,
Yes.
right?
Yeah.
So I think that's going back to that story of inspiration and hope, right? Like, I think that first night, like you said, in the shelter, there was, I don't know, but I'm guessing there was a real feeling of hopelessness, and where to next, that sort of rock bottom feeling. But, through the help of the people at the shelter, Rowan House, and everything. And obviously, I think you have to acknowledge your own inner strength in that moment, that fight for life of wanting something, which is in you, and then look at you today.
Well, the positive story out of this was Rowan House. When I was about to leave, I was like, I decided that I need to rewrite my story. I need to find myself actually in all of this. And I believe that person no longer exists because there's nothing to pick up. It was that person gone. There was no need to bring it back. I felt like a person died, literally. And so I reinvent new person at that time, where I want to challenge myself with new job, new opportunities. And it was really a difficult moment to hold yourself back and say, you know what, you can do it. They find power uh, in that disaster and facing that truth of what you're facing at the moment, and take positive out of it was the most difficult, the second difficult moment for me, where you pump yourself with reassurance and you go like, you can do it, you can do it, you're strong enough, you're smart enough, let's do it. So I challenged myself to find a completely different job that I ever did. I was selling lipsticks, and then I started selling cars in car dealership. And it was not easy. I didn't understand anything about cars, as many women do, but I knew how to sell. So that's another kind of like moment of victories. So after leaving basically shelter, I started celebrate victories. I was like, I did it myself. I achieved this, I achieved that. The way I knew, the way I could do the best that I can do at the moment. And I reconnect with my daughter. I got my custody back. I ended up publishing little children's book, learning to do this. And then somebody suggested to get a hold of a Rotary Club. And I was asked that person, I'm like, why do I need to go there? She said that there's a nice people like myself who wants to make changes around, and it's nice to be connected with people who have not only material at at the core. It's kindness, it's warmth, it's humanity. And so I think I was looking for recover that part within me, belief in people's good part. Like after facing the evil, I cannot say anything else about my experience. I realized that I needed rehabilitate that part of my life to believe in humans, believe in people. And that was a difficult part of my life to do it again, like,
to trust people.
Yes, trust. That was biggest issue.
And I think you're right. With the Rotary Club, you can trust the community, right? Because it's not, a lot of people still think Rotary is about giving money, right? And that is a small part of it. Of course, there's the Rotary Foundation, but it's more about like-minded people, just community members, kind-hearted, wanting to work, connect, build a better community.
You're right. And also what I see consistently, when people are saying something, they backing it up with actions. So it's not just words, it's action. That's what I grew up with in Russia. You you speak not with your words, you speak with your actions.
Yeah.
And so it's really refreshing to me, and this is why I'm still there, and my life is kind of turned around as well.
Yeah. I think the slogan, or one of the slogans for Rotary, is people of action. And I do think our club and Rotary International does do that.
Deeply resonated with me, with my
Yeah.
experience as
Yes.
well. Yeah.
Yulia, you have shared such a beautiful, inspiring story. Thank you so much. I think it's very difficult. It must be very difficult to share that part of you. So thank you for being brave and vulnerable on the show today.
Thank you so much. Another thing, one more. What many people don't realize, not only being an immigrant, it's hard to live and learn the language, the ways culturally blend and be highly integrate in the community and society. But also, when you're challenged by this kind of situation, you step into legal battles as well. So being an immigrant, you don't know ways around 100%. Stepping into court system, it's completely different challenge, and I learned that as well. And so I think I decided for myself that I'm quite an achiever and humbly.
But yes, you're right. I think it is overcoming not just what you went through, and now learning the court system as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
By this experience, many people that I know now have challenged to go to court and advocate for themselves, even who speaks the language, they're Canadian. I sometimes give advices, even I found myself doing that, not consciously. But yes, that's
it. Yeah. And I think also, like you said, is finding those places to connect within the community. I know that you and I did that healing sound bath together within the community as well, and just finding those little opportunities to heal, your personal journey.
We connected at Rotary Club, and then we started healing thanks to you. You invited me to sound bath, meditation, and whatnot. It was amazing experience to get to know you more closer, and I found friend in the process.
Yeah.
Thank you for your support. And today I'm looking back again. I'm have an enormous amount of gratitude over everything that I went through. At the moment, we don't realize that good is good and bad is bad. You judging it white and black, and coming out from bad experience, you realize it's actually not always the bad. It's transition. It's a lesson. It's something that you learn and finding yourself through process.
I think it's also just one last thing is that you don't carry that victim mindset, right? Like you learn from the experience and you carry that part forward. And that's one of the things that I really do love about you. And yeah, I feel privileged to call you my friend, Yulia. I love the times that we spent together. And once again, thank you so much for sharing your journey. And to anybody watching, I really hope that you find your hope, find the inspiration. There is help available, whether it's through a women's shelter or through police or through, the Rocky View mental health program. Reach out. There are people that care.